6ix9ine sat down for an interview with the Dancer Project, and things went left fast when the host brought up Fat Joe's old shots at him. 6ix9ine didn't hold back for a second. He straight up exposed Fat Joe right there on camera. And trust me, every word of what he said checks out because I went and fact-checked it myself, and it's 100% true.
Sure.
Fat Joe said that...
Fat Joe's a lean back. We've been leaning back for 20 years, man. Like,
he said you crowned yourself the rat leader and you wrote the 48 laws of snitching.
But before we get into the madness, let's take a step back and look at what Fat Joe's been saying about 6ix9ine over the years, because this man has been dragging him for years. We're talking multiple interviews going back 2 or 3 years strong, like that one on Math Hoffa's show where Fat Joe straight up disrespected 6ix9ine, calling him out of his name like it was nothing. And it didn't stop there. Just last month, Joe was still talking crazy. Let's be real. Whenever the topic of rats in hip-hop comes up, 6ix9ine's name is always the first to fly. Whether people see Alpo as part of the culture or not, 6ix9ine might be the most infamous snitch rap has ever seen. His name became the face of betrayal in this new generation of hip-hop. During that Math Hoffa interview, Fat Joe called 6ix9ine AP and a B, saying he was mad because he warned him about the Rico case before it all fell apart. But 6ix9ine didn't listen. And when the storm hit, everything crashed hard. Now sure, when you hit your 40s, peace starts to mean more than pride, but come on, at some point you gotta chill.
This show gonna get me in trouble. For sure.
How did you feel
I gotta go.
after warning Tekashi? Because I saw it when you sat with him. And I was like, Joe is trying to put him on right now, and I don't think
just
he's
be honest
getting it.
with you. Damn, you went there?
Yeah, I went there.
This is a sucker.
Oh.
He's a sucker.
So let me get, yo,
Okay.
pop another bottle, man.
No, I ain't drink. I'm dead
It's
sober.
crazy. Talk that talk, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm dead sober. This dude here, this type of shit, this doing, I'm convinced he wanna die. I don't wish it on him or nothing like that, but I'm convinced he's miserable in his body. He can't look in the mirror. Nah, I don't know if he gotta be. He's a lot of
He just got knocked.
So now the man snitch, right? Cool, do you, whatever.
How did you know that?
I don't like the taunting. I try to tell him, like, what happens? Like, yo, bro, listen, I didn't know if he really did it. I didn't know what was going on. The crazy shit is when I talked to him in that interview, I talked to him off the air, and he lied to me and told me, yo, this is just an image, I'm fronting this and this and that. He told me that in front of Shotty and them. They were standing right there with him.
He said what?
Joe, he
This is
told
just
me that
an
he was
image.
lying.
He's an image.
Yo, Joe, I'm not really doing this. I'm not a gangster. You know, this is all for like promotion. I got it. At that point, I said, so you're not doing nothing because you're gonna go to jail if you're really doing stuff.
Right.
Nah, Joe, I don't do nothing. I'm good. So I'm like, all right.
Like, bro, stop calling people out their name every time you grab a mic. It's all unnecessary drama. 6ix9ine made it crystal clear. He's not dissing Fat Joe just to stir beef. He said straight up, he ain't snitch on me and he ain't snitch on nobody I know. But then he added something wild. Joe was talking about certain people he warned ahead of time, saying what could happen, yet they still kept 6ix9ine around anyway. Crazy, right? But here's where it gets spicy. Fat Joe has basically crowned himself the prime minister of hip-hop morality. His whole thing now is being anti-rat, like that's his entire brand. That's the hill he's ready to die on. But let's not forget, those comments he made were years ago. Since then, 6ix9ine's thrown a few playful shots in interviews, but recently, Fat Joe brought it right back up just last month. He told Jadakiss that one night he stayed up late thinking about who started what he calls the snitching epidemic in hip-hop. And who did he point the finger at? You guessed it, 6ix9ine. But hold up, what does that have to do with the music? Because let's be real, 6ix9ine hasn't been dropping bangers lately. His new stuff isn't hitting like before, and even the snippets aren't catching traction. Yeah, he had his moment when his sound took over the whole game, but that wave faded fast. Still, all this talk about snitching has nothing to do with chart success.
Yo, what's the event in hip-hop that broke the camel's back? Pause. To make it to where you could snitch, and if you make good music or something, you could still live out here in hip-hop. Like, what was the straw that broke the camel's back in hip-hop, where we had a code and there is no code no more? There just isn't no code no more. And
what do you think is the event that, you know, I remember growing up, even if you was fronting, you wasn't a real gangster, but you was spitting gangster rap shit. You wasn't with the rats like that. Right now, this
too many of them.
Sold out concerts.
I don't think you can escape them. They all around. They're like New York City rats. Humans. It's rats everywhere. You know? And everywhere is everything, you know.
Too many Fredos, not enough Michaels.
That's a fact.
You know, some of these guys got to take a boat ride, never come back. Sammy the Bull is the most famous rat on the earth. Sammy the Bull. Then you came Alpo, guy everybody looked up to, charismatic, Harlem fly, Louis Vuitton, this, that, Toll. He did that, right?
Shout out to Wayne Perry and Wayne Perry Jr.
Then, in hip hop, the day 6ix9ine sat on that stand.
Yo.
No!
Man.
You remember, if you're watching the story, they taking him to court in bulletproof vests. They acting like he was telling on El Chapo. He put a lot of good people in jail, man.
No, we gotta put him away till his time.
Yo,
my feeling is gonna get close.
You feeling this?
I feel his time has come. I feel his time is gonna be soon, though.
You don't need a lot.
Yeah.
Does it not matter no more? And I believe 6ix9ine, when he gave guys 20 years in jail. All the guys he was like, oh, but he fucked my wife. Oh, but he did. That means nothing. There's a man that works in a bodega that never been a criminal in his life, see some shit he won't tell.
If 90% of hip-hop fans aren't from the streets, why keep forcing street codes on people who never lived that life? Even most black listeners didn't grow up in the hood. It's just real talk. So why should street rules matter in music when most of the audience doesn't even play by those rules? It's entertainment, not a courtroom battle. Go to any rap concert this year. Seriously, pick one and look around. You'll see the truth right in front of your eyes. At least 70% of the crowd isn't black. And depending on the artist, it can jump to 80 or even 90%. Go to a Drake concert, for example. Most of those fans aren't from the hood, and that's just plain facts. So why keep holding rappers to street rules when most of the audience doesn't even live by them? It just doesn't make sense. But that right there is still Fat Joe's biggest problem with 6ix9ine. He blames him for breaking the code, for supposedly destroying what he calls the rules of hip hop. So when 6ix9ine finally clapped back, he did it in the smartest way possible. Most people who get labeled rats try to deny it, but 6ix9ine stood tall and flipped the script. Instead of begging for acceptance, he called out the hypocrisy in the game. Fat Joe's always talking heavy about morals, integrity, and street principles about being a real one, but 6ix9ine tore that whole image to pieces. He basically said, how can you talk about honor when you don't even follow the same code you preach? Boom! And that's when he dropped the bomb, big pun son, because by street rules, when your homie passes, you're supposed to look out for his family. Make sure they're good, especially if y'all made money together. That's supposed to be the ultimate sign of loyalty. But according to 6ix9ine, Fat Joe didn't live up to that code when it came to Big Pun's family. And that's where things really hit a nerve. That's exactly why 6ix9ine brought up Big Pun's son, because that situation exposed the gap between Joe's words and his actions. When 6ix9ine mentioned Big Pun's family, the internet went absolutely wild. He claimed that Fat Joe, who was once tight with Big Pun, didn't look out for Pun's family the way a real one should have. And that hit deep, because Big Pun isn't just another rapper, he's a hip-hop legend. The idea that someone so close to him might have turned their back on his people, that's a serious accusation that shook the culture.
If I crown myself the rat leader, he crowned himself as the cap leader. He didn't rob no 50 at no gym. Yo, bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Which one's my camera? That one?
Yeah.
This one? That one? Yeah, Fat Joe, you're a you're a I'm not even gonna lie, you're a captain of the cap. Like, nobody believe, even your co-host who's Jadakiss don't believe you. Every time you say a cap, that like, like, but like I said, you gonna go
flag, like
and
flag on the play.
And my next song, I even say, I be spitting so much facts that I make jokes to distract. That's the next bar in my song. Don't like the truth, so y'all make jokes to distract me. We noticed lying, right? All right, yo, listen to me. Listen
But there's
to
a lot
me.
of people that say he ain't lying.
He
It's
ain't
all
lying?
real. Yeah.
All right. Which one's my camera? If Fat Joe is not lying, the next person on the Dance Project, bring Big Pun's son. Bring Big Pun's son on the Dance Project. Welcome
Rivers,
back.
Chris Rivers.
Welcome back, y'all. Let's skip this clip. Watch when he see this clip, he gonna hit up, yo, Chris, don't do that. How much money you need? Out of here. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, you just said a lot. You just said a lot.
Bring Big Pun's son, even on the verses. Remember when he was facing Ja Rule?
Yeah.
And they said, don't play that shit. That's Big Pun. Don't do that. Don't do what, fat you talking about, nigga?
In that clip, 6ix9ine dropped a line that made everyone pause. He said, "You talking about morals, but you ain't even take care of your brother's people." That bar froze the room because for all the talk about loyalty and street codes, what 6ix9ine pointed out was a moral contradiction. Fat Joe preaches loyalty, respect, and integrity, but according to 6ix9ine, he wasn't living by that same code himself. Now, to be fair, Fat Joe has always pushed back on those claims, saying he's shown nothing but love and respect for Big Pun's legacy whenever he could. But let's keep it real. The internet doesn't care about explanations, they care about drama. The second 6ix9ine threw that shot, fans started digging through old interviews, pictures, contracts, anything that could prove or disprove what he said. And that's where it all got messy, because what 6ix9ine did was flip the entire rat conversation upside down. Instead of denying what he did, he flipped the focus back on the ones calling him out.
Right, so when she came to me and told me that, we did 2 projects and we got her, not us, we didn't take $1, we got her $1 million for her and the family. Now she ran through it because she was used to spending that money. She comes back, I write her a check out my pocket, boom, and I'm like, yo, it ain't no more after this.
He made people question, if being real is about loyalty, then who's actually living by that code? This wasn't just a diss, it was a calculated hit at Fat Joe's credibility. 6ix9ine took Joe's own message and turned it against him, and whether people liked him or not, they couldn't deny how sharp that comeback was. After that line about Big Pun's son, the debate exploded online like wildfire. Online fans were completely divided. Some said 6ix9ine exposed the truth, while others swore he was just dragging Fat Joe for clout. But either way, the damage was done. People started questioning Fat Joe's image, the same reputation he's been building for decades in hip-hop. And 6ix9ine wasn't done there. He kept applying pressure. He started bringing up old interviews where Big Pun's widow and son claimed they never got what they were promised after Pun's passing. And that set the internet on fire.
And so we find ourselves in situations like Liza Rios has with Joe Cartagena, Fat Joe, where, you know, you got to file a lawsuit to figure out what actually happened and to find out where is the money. So today, although Fat Joe's lawyers originally filed an answer in the case, they subsequently filed a motion to dismiss, as did Jelly's Jams, not claiming that they don't owe any money, but just making technical legal arguments that basically saying that Liza can't sue them for one reason or another. We feel pretty good about the hearing. There was a hearing that took place to do her husband so that her family can benefit. You asked if it was a rehashing. Well, in some ways it's the same issue. The big question is, where's the money, right? So, and there's some new information has come to light just of late that is setting some light on what happened to the money. And so that's really why this lawsuit is being filed now. You know, over time, you know, you're supposed to get royalties twice a year or whatever, and most of the time the accounts are saying they're unrecouped. So when an artist is getting statements that say they're unrecouped, there's really no reason for them to think that there should be money there. In this particular case, we found the reason to believe that there really should be some more money there. And that is that we found out that in foreign territories overseas, that the writer splits are not properly reflected for the songs the way they should have been, and that's indicating that there was some money that was collected there that shouldn't have been collected. So that's where we're after. We're trying to pursue that. Actually, the important thing is that now artists are also getting paid for that money. ASCAP and BMI, the traditional, societies that collect money for songwriters, have been able to collect money for those streaming services and other, new technology types of services.
Fans began pulling receipts, rewatching clips, and comparing statements like detectives. It got crazy fast. Meanwhile, Fat Joe tried to keep it cool, saying he's always shown love and respect to Pun's name and legacy. But 6ix9ine flipped that right back, saying, respect ain't just words, it's action. And that's when the internet leaned in, because when you call yourself a man of principles, people expect you to actually live by them. Then 6ix9ine threw one more dagger. He said Fat Joe's out here trying to play judge of the streets when he's not even clean himself. That line hit like a grenade. It wasn't just about Big Pun anymore, it was about something bigger. 6ix9ine was challenging the whole idea of who really gets to decide who's real and who's fake in this new era of hip-hop. He turned the tables completely, and no matter what side you were on, you couldn't deny he shook the room. What's wild is, no matter how you feel about 6ix9ine, his response hit a nerve deep in the culture. For the first time ever, the so-called rat made the real ones look hypocritical, and that's something the streets weren't ready to face. For years, people have been accusing Fat Joe of keeping money that was supposed to go to Big Pun's family, and that's a heavy claim. The story goes that Pun's wife and kids never saw the royalties they were supposed to get from his legendary catalog. Fat Joe once claimed he gave them $1 million, but Pun's wife fired back saying she never saw a single dime. Things got so heated that she even filed a lawsuit against him. And from what's been reported, that case either ended in her favor or is still tied up in court. Either way, those accusations carry serious weight. According to Pun's family, Big Pun's music kept generating cash, but none of it was reaching them. Fat Joe allegedly told them, ain't no money coming in, man, it's all going to prior obligations. But when the family started digging deeper, they discovered something completely different. There actually was money coming in, and someone was collecting it behind the scenes. That revelation shook fans to their core, because if any of it is true, it raises one harsh question. How can someone preach morals, loyalty, and street ethics while allegedly cutting out the family of a fallen friend? That's not just a bad look, it's a straight-up contradiction. And it's exactly why 6ix9ine's words hit so hard, because he exposed the kind of truth people in the game usually try to keep buried. It's straight up heartbreaking, and honestly, from a moral angle, if that really happened, it's way worse than anything 6ix9ine ever did. Because snitching on criminals is one thing, but allegedly taking from a man's widow and kids, that's a whole different level of betrayal. It hits way deeper than the street stuff. It's about character, not just reputation. So what do you think? Did 6ix9ine actually have a point about Fat Joe's integrity being questionable? Or is this just the internet blowing everything out of proportion again? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's talk about it. Hit that like button, share this with your crew, and don't forget to subscribe to Buzz It In, where we bring you the realest hip-hop stories every single week. You don't want to miss what's coming next.